Welcome back. It's a preview Sunday's Premier League match between Arsenal and Stoke at the Emirates Stadium. Barney Slutton with the home side picked up a morale boost in winning its whole last time out in the FA Cup.
Yeah, important victory. It was a tricky FA Cup tie. Obviously, repeated last season's final. And Hull started the match really well. Looked like they might be able to make a match of it. But Arsenal, they defended well against Hull, didn't give them many chances, deserved the 2-0 victory in the end. And Alexis Sanchez was the outstanding player again. He was superb in that match. Cazorla continued his good form, a really good performance. And there was a lot of positives to take from that after a disappointing result against Southampton, because to have lost 2-0 against a top four rival like that, it was a terrible result for them, really. And the fans, there's one fan who ran and confronted Wenger in the dugout, which, it shows a sign of they're not happy with Wenger. They're still not happy with Wenger. He can't really do anything right at the moment in their eyes. So he's still under pressure. So to get that win against Hull, an early exit would have ramped up the pressure on him. So it was a really important result for them.
You mentioned that Southampton game. They went down with a bit of a whimper there, didn't they? And it was poor. I mean, Chesney is obviously under the spotlight for his two errors. The first one was, I don't know where he's going. You don't go that far out. And the second one was just laughable. And the way it was strange afterwards, the way he sat down and had that drink at the bottle, he just the world was sort of collapsing around him. And I think Arsenal will always struggle with Chesney. I think he's obviously got a lot of talent, but he's not a top goalkeeper. You look at teams in Premier League, Courtois, De Gea, people like that. I mean, Joe Hart. These are top goalkeepers, and you need a top goalkeeper if you're going to do well. I mean, I think there was a story that came out that they got offered Diego Lopez when he was at Real Madrid and he was going to AC Milan, and they turned him down because they kept face with Chesney. But when he's getting to a stage now, he's not a young guy anymore. He should be performing better. He's so inconsistent. He makes mistakes, and I think unless you've got a big goalkeeper, a good goalkeeper, you're never going to win anything, and that's Arsenal's problem.
And those mistakes can prove to be costly in terms of the whole season, because now that result put them 3 points behind the top four, made them drop below Tottenham in the race for that. So it could be a very costly one, and all Chesney's fault really in those two goals in that match. Obviously not for the whole season, not all his fault, but that game it was. There are good signs for Arsenal now, even though the disappointment of that result injury-wise. They've got some key players coming back. The likes of Flamini and Ramsey might be back for this weekend. Giroud's back from suspension. And then you've got the likes of Walcott, who came back against Hull, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Ozil, Welbeck, all nearing full fitness again. And they've struggled so much with fitness over the first half of the season that you can only see them really improving over the second half of the campaign if they can get all those key players back again.
Moving on to Stoke, last time out in the Premier League, drew 1-1 against Manchester United at Britannia. I think they played really well, didn't they? They obviously took the lead early on. Peter Crouch headed it down for Shawcross to score, and United responded quite well. But I think Stoke, in the latter stages of the second half, ranked up the pressure, didn't they? Had a couple of half chances, and I think a point was a fair result, but it's still a good point. At home early in the season, they're actually quite poor, weren't they? In certain stages, they took a while. I think it was Newcastle, they got their first home win eventually after a couple of months. But last time out, obviously, picking up that point is very important in the FA Cup as well. They almost had a bit of a scare against Wrexham, didn't they? Conceded, but I think Stephen Lyons scored a couple of goals later on, and it was 3-1 in the end to go through to the FA Cup. So a couple of good results, and into this game should enter it full of confidence.
Yeah, they're in good form. Only one defeat in the last 6 now, and it's been a tough run of fixtures there. They lost to Chelsea, but they've got points against Arsenal, they got points against Everton, got points against Manchester United. The Arsenal game, they won 3-2 about a month ago, just over a month ago, and that will give them big confidence going into this one, because Stoke aren't a team Arsenal enjoy playing. Stoke have got their number, really. Their physicality really hurts Arsenal. More of a case at the Britannia than the Emirates, it must be said, but they'll fancy their chance of getting something out of this game.
You back them to get anything out of the game? Can you see?
I think Arsenal are just in such good form at home at the moment. I think they've won the last 5 in front of their own fans, so I can see them getting another win today. Stoke never make it easy for them, but I think I'm going to go for 2-1 win.
So I was actually going to agree completely. I think Bojan's a big miss for them, isn't he? Especially away from home. He's got that pace and guile who can open him up. I think that's a bit, like I say, Stoke at the Britannia are a different prospect away from home. So I'm actually going to agree. We're both going to back 2-1 wins to Arsenal. Thanks for joining us.